James L. Hudson, Esquire. I'm a lawyer, graduate of Boston University Law School. Coming from a college, my college, founded in a basement in Augusta, Georgia, among men who had the great belief that the newly freed slaves could become educated and leaders in the society in which they were going to enter. And from that very small beginning in Augusta, Georgia, we now have the college, Morehouse College, which continues to produce not only outstanding students for the professions, but leaders for the American society. And to be a part of that tradition is heartwarming to me. And to be recognized by that tradition is, in fact, a heartwarming experience, not only for me, but for my family. And regrettably, my father, who was a Morehouse graduate, is not alive to see his son receive this award. Morehouse instilled in us an ideal. An ideal is Dr. Mays, Benjamin Mays, who was president of college when I was there, would say, make your mind, make your brains perspire. Learn as much about any subjects that you can. Stretch your mind. Become a citizen of the world. And that lesson imbued in a young 17, 18-year-old individual from a small town in Florida was important. And I've carried it with me all my life. I consider probably the bachelor's degree from Morehouse my most significant degree, although I'm a graduate of Boston University and I've attended other universities, the Wharton School in Pennsylvania. But the experience and the depth of the learning at Morehouse has been a part of my being. I have three heroes, I would think. My father, Dr. James Hudson, Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays, and Martin Luther King Jr. Each of those men have, in different ways, have been the guidepost of my life. The beginnings of the thought about becoming a lawyer, really before I came to Morehouse. My father was very active in the civil rights movement in Florida and Tallahassee with the bus boycott and other civil rights activities. And invariably, the lawyers who argued cases before the Florida Supreme Court would come to Tallahassee. At that time, there weren't any hotels, motels where African Americans could live or stay on a visit. So invariably, they were at my house, our house. And so sometimes late in the evening, my father and the lawyers would sit around and talk about the cases before the Florida Supreme Court. And I, as a youngster, sat at the same table and listened to the argument. So I think that was the genesis of my thoughts about being a lawyer, that you could do good. You could do good in society if you understood the law and used it as a tool and a vehicle for the advancement of your people. When I came to Morehouse, I had a political science professor, Dr. Robert Brisbane, who imbued in me further, I suppose, the pursuit of the law. We studied constitutional law as undergraduate, and it was also the time of ferment in Atlanta, where Don Hollowell, a distinguished civil rights attorney, was arguing cases in the federal courts and then the state courts of Georgia. So being in that environment further imbued me to pursue the law. And I consider that the right choice. There were few African-American lawyers at the time I finished Boston University. I think 1,500 lawyers, black lawyers in the United States. There are probably 1,500 African-American lawyers in Atlanta, Georgia now. So we've made and expanded the profession a great deal, hugely since then. And but the environment I walked into was a very circumscribed and limited environment. But my training at the two schools, Morehouse and Boston University, I think thoroughly prepared me to enter the profession. So that's my beginning in the profession, and I went over to work for a place called Urban Institute because I thought maybe I wanted to be an academic. I soon disabused myself of that notion and went back to the notion of practice in law and founded a firm, Hudson and Jefferson Davenport, which at the time became the largest African-American law firm in the United States. And we handled a lot of cities, Troy, New Orleans, Oakland, Kansas City, as finance and bond counsel and representing them in the city of Washington. So it was a breakthrough. And I'm particularly proud of that breakthrough. And hopefully we inspired younger African-American lawyers to follow their kind of path. So it has been and continues to be an exciting journey in the law. I found that training and background in particularly helpful when I served in Europe at the request of President Barack Obama at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development in London. I urged on every instance where the bank was involved in investments in Eastern Europe, Russia, Ukraine, all across Eastern Europe, to have a judicial system that respected the rights of parties in contracts and in business ventures in particular. Unfortunately, in many instances, that was not the case then, and it's not the case now. But in part, to achieve a open and democratic society, you have to have respect for the law. And I sought to do that not only in Eastern Europe and in Russia and the Ukraine, also in North Africa and in Egypt, Tunisia, and Morocco. I think I'm proud and somewhat pleased that we were able to push those things forward. Not always successfully, but it was part of my work, and I'm pleased with that. Make your mind perspire. Train your mind. An open and a free, well-trained mind will take you a long way. No man can dismiss you with a wave of a hand if your mind is sharp and aware. And that's, I think that was imbued in us as students at Morehouse at that particular time. And they enter a new and more confusing world, I would think, than men of my generation in it. But I think that the training they have or should have and opportunities available to them will bode well for them. They will enter immediately a society that is, I think, is in somewhat a state of confusion, less stable because of the the current administration of the United States government. But that, too, can be challenged. And I think in the end, we can be successful in that. And I would urge this generation of more students to, again, prepare your mind for the best you can be. And when any opportunity opens for you, you will be ready, prepared to exploit and take advantage of that opportunity. And then mindful always that this literally is a gift that has been given you. And you have to protect it and you have to use it, not only for your own benefit, but for the benefit of future scholars and moths and for your community that you will become a part of.